Hello and welcome to the demonstration video on the 2019 Adria Sonic Super 810. Just run you around the outside and then we'll go on to the controls on the inside. So first things first, the bonnet release catch on these, with it being an A-class body on the front. Obviously you've not got a bonnet release as such, so the catch to release the bonnet is just there. And then the bonnet, there is just a small yellow lever just underneath the bonnet, just under here, so that gives you access to the things underneath the bonnet. Obviously things change a bit on this, with it being an A-class. The bonnet comes right the way to the front of the vehicle, so your washer fluid is here. You've got dipstick, oil fill. Just at the back there we've got coolant, we've got brake fluid there. There is another bottle attached to the coolant there. I think that's just to do with the older heating system. If you ever need to jump start these vehicles, there's a little positive terminal just underneath that tab there, which sometimes you'll need a key to access. So you put your key in there, it releases a little metal tab, which is this here. You need to put your positive onto that one, and then there's an earth. Let me just find out where the earth is. So on this, you would have to earth it onto this metal tab, which is just there. So that'll be your earth. So your positive onto there, and your earth onto that metal tab, which is just there. So as we'll make our way around the outside of the vehicle, just show you the various things that are outside. So we have diesel fill here, not to be confused with water, which is at the back. We've just got a storage locker here that's lockable. Next thing along here is the vent for the Aldi heating. So if you're burning gas, if you're running your heating on gas, you will get steam and condensation rising up from this, particularly in the cold weather. This is the gas locker, so 2 bottles would go into here. Doesn't come with the gas, you need to provide your own gas for that. You'll get, or I shall get you, a flexible hose that comes off this line here and then goes into the end of the bottles. This is the inline regulator, so that does the regulation of the gas pressure. Underneath that there's an impact sensor, so what this will do is it'll allow you to travel with the gas switched on, and then if it senses a sudden impact, if you crash the vehicle or you're unlucky enough to be involved in a crash, then this little button here will pop out and stop the supply of the gas to the vehicle for safety reasons. So when you first connect to gas, you switch on the gas bottle on the top of the bottle itself. You've just got to push that in and you'll hear it hiss, and it's releasing the pressure into the vehicle. So this pipe here is your feed into the motorhome. So working our way on around the vehicle, these 2 things here, all this is a supply, a 12 volt supply. It's got a little cover on it. It's a 2-pin hole behind there. If you wanted to connect a 12 volt feed from that, you can have like a submersible pump, so it'll come off with the wires hanging down, and then you could submerge a pump into a container that you may have on the floor, and then that'll allow you to pump that water from that tank that's on the floor through into the tank that's already on board. So this is the water fill, so you're filling up the water tank which is already on board, which will probably be about 100 litres. So this is where you fill up the motorhome with water. You just fill that with a hose pipe until you start to see it pour out. You can't overfill it, it'll just literally pour out when it's full. One thing to note, while we're just round the side here, to empty this tank, which is important you do in winter, because if it freezes it'll expand, turn to ice and crack the tank. There's a drain down valve inside the motorhome, which I'll show you how to do that. The wastewater, so everything that goes down the sink, down the shower, etc., collects in a waste tank, which is underneath the motorhome here. You can see that pipe there that's facing us. That's where the wastewater comes out. Now on this model it looks like that's controlled electrically, so it's an electric tap, and the switch for it I can't find a switch, but when the guys do the pre-delivery inspection, I'll point that out for you on the day that you collect it, so that they can identify where the switch for that is. But that's where the wastewater is ejected when you need to drain down the wastewater. There's an indication inside the motorhome on the control panel to show you what level your tanks are at. So that'll show you the wastewater and the fresh water. So the next locker along is just access into the garage. In here you've got the spare wheel here, and then next to that, just on the other side, is the toolkit. These vents here are for radiators, so this has got radiation heat. It's a proper central heating system that has coolant running through these radiators. So you've got a radiator in the garage area here. You can see that by these tubes here. So it runs coolant through this tubing. You shouldn't need to worry about that. That's just simply if you need to top it up or release pressure or drain it down, but that's for an engineer to do. You don't need to worry about those pipes. So that has coolant running through it. You don't need, I'll show you the header tank inside the vehicle, but you don't need to change that or drain it down. So that's frost protected. So onto the back of the motorhome, we've got the camera mounted up top here. Can't maybe see it. It's the small black lens there. Just need to make sure that's kept free and clean of debris. If it's wet, you will get a distorted vision through that, but you can see even if the lens is wet. But yeah, just need to keep that clean so you can see as you're reversing. So the next one along is the access through to the other side of the garage locker. So as we said, you've got the toolkit, the spare wheel. There's the winder for the awning here with the handle on it. This has got an external shower socket, so that's just mounted here, and then the hose that corresponds to that has got that tap end on it there. Sorry, tap end on this side with a trigger on the top, and then this bayonet fitting here goes into this housing here. So this hose goes into there. You can see that collar's pushed forward. To release it, push that collar and that releases it, and then that's your hot and cold tap. Here we have the water pump. Basically that's access through into the water pump should you need it. There is a little drain down tap just on the inside there, just there, but you don't need to worry about that. The main drain for the water systems are inside, so that's where the water pump is housed. This bed will go up and down electrically to allow you to store bigger items in the garage. Obviously it comes down so that it's more comfortable in the living area when the bed is down. You don't have to climb up into the bed. So you can see, just about see that moving slowly. So that's the bed, rise and fall bed operation, and that's done from inside. There is another switch for the recliner on the inside, but we'll come to that when we go inside. The next set of sockets along here is an external feed out. So you've got a mains feed to the outside of your motorhome. You do need an adapter for that. You'll need the Continental adapter with the 2 pins that go in here, and then on the end of that you'll have the 3 pin, which will allow you to take a feed from the inside of the motorhome. So where you've got it plugged in, it's just another feed so that you can use an electrical appliance outside or watch television if the sun's shining. That's a 12 volt feed to the outside of the motorhome. That one is redundant because it's not wired up. That's if you wanted to have a feed from a television signal going into the motorhome. But they're the 2 main things in this area. Next one along is the toilet cassette. So there's an indication inside to tell you how full that is. This is emptied by lifting up that yellow tab, sliding the cassette out. This would then be full of toilet waste. To empty this, okay, so to empty this, you slide this yellow sleeve back, and then this little button here, press that in, and then slide this silver thing back. You can see that opens up this blade, and then you pour the chemical into here, and I'll put a little bit of water into the bottom, so the required amount of chemical, and once you've emptied it, line this with a little bit of water and the chemical. To empty it, you are using this funnel here. Take the cap off the end, unscrews, take that off, pour the waste away out through this nozzle here. As you're doing so, press this button in here, and that lets air in as the liquid is coming out, so it lets it flow out without air restriction. So that's how you empty it, and then once you've emptied it, put the chemical into here. Next one along again is just an external locker. Above that we've got the fridge vents. They are used to vent the fridge, so what it does, it draws cool air in at the bottom, expels warm air at the top. It's just important that you need to keep those free of debris and just keep it away from a wall, because fridge effectively is breathing through those vents. Again, just more external storage, and this is where the mains electric comes into the motorhome. So that flap there, lift that up, and then the cable, which I'm not sure it's got a cable. I'll get you one of those, but it's got a little lid on the top of the cable which slides into the top of there, and then this is your electrical supply into the motorhome. This model's been fitted with an awning. There is a separate video on our YouTube channel about how to operate the awning, which I'll try and remember to put in the description of this video. But the awning, it's a sun canopy, it winds out, but as I said, there's a separate video for that. Okay, so we're in the motorhome now. To swivel the seats, so these are both captain seats. To swivel those around, it's this lever here. These levers are for adjustment on the camber of the seat. So you pull the lever that way, and that will allow you to twist the seat around, and it's exactly the same on the driver's side. Okay, so with the seats swiveled around, in order to get the A-class bed down, which comes down from the ceiling here, you need to fold the seats over. To do that, you just turn this thing here, quarter of a turn, and then that'll allow you to push the seats over, and the bed will then come down over the top. On this model, it's an electric bed, so the operation of the bed is done electrically, and it's just next to the control panel just here. And it's this switch that does it. You just need to push that button in there before you can bring the bed down. So if you press this button here, it's bringing the bed down over here. These cushions here, I've just squashed that slightly, but they come off the magnetic. So on the back of those cushions there's a magnetic thing holding it to the wall. So with those removed, the bed will come down to its lowest position. These are just curtains for whoever's in the bed, and then you can see it's got the stretchy material at the side that houses the bed. So that's the bed in its down position, and just reverse that process to get it back up into in the up position, and fold the seats away. Okay, so just while we're at the front here, I'll just go through it methodically from front to back. Underneath this forward facing seat here is the boiler, so that deals with the hot water and also the heating of the motorhome. And within this cupboard is a valve in here. So that valve there, what it does, this here, it's thermostatic. So what it does, it'll sense if the temperature reaches 6 degrees, and then it will automatically drop the water out of the boiler to protect the boiler from freezing water. So if there's water inside the boiler which freezes, it'll damage the boiler. So the little diamond thing which I've just turned around on the top, which is there, that is in the operational position. You've also got to press that little button in on the front there, so that's in the operational position, so that'll hold all the water in the boiler. When you first come to use it, if it's been left over winter, you'll probably find that the thermostat's kicked in, that's turned around like that, and it's protected the boiler by dropping all the water out of the boiler. So that's where the boiler's housed, and that's a very important drain. You need to do that manually in winter to protect the boiler from water freezing inside it. That's really important, because if you damage the boiler, it's an expensive item to replace. Okay, so now I've shown you the boiler. Just next to the door here is the control for that boiler. So we switch that on. So this square unit here is what controls the boiler. So to switch it on, it's that button there, just press and hold. Then if we click on the menu, you've got your temperature control here for the motorhome. So you just select that by pressing this button here to control your temperature. So if you just set it to 22 degrees, which is room temperature. Next one down, self-explanatory really, water. So that's your water temperature. I'd just leave that on hot and then mix it with cold, so you've got a lot of warm water. Next one down is your electric consumption. So if you want to put it on electric only, then you would select this button here. Now it'll allow you to set 3 settings, 3 kilowatt being the most powerful obviously, but that'll draw a lot of power. On some sites there may only be a 8 amp fuse, in which case you want to just use 1 kilowatt. On UK sites which are 13 amp, 3 kilowatt is fine. So that's the reason that it's allowing you to select different power consumptions. If you want to, so on electric, it's not as efficient as on gas. It'll take a long time to heat up on electric, but it will do so eventually. If you want to heat it up really quickly, switch it on to gas, and that's how you switch your gas on there. So that's using gas and electric at the moment. So if you're conscious about using up a load of gas, then get it hot first on gas and electric, and then just switch the gas off, and then the electric will then keep it running, keep it warm once the gas has done the hard work. This switch here is a heat exchanger pump. If you want to heat up the motorhome while you're driving, you can switch that pump on. So it'll pump coolant from the engine through the motorhome. It'll do it the other way as well. So if you've got this on, you can warm up the engine before you set off. This here is your control panel, your main control panel. To switch everything off, it's that button there. And then switch it back on. So we have main lights, so all the lights will go on and off when you press that button there. You can see I'm just pressing that button, the lights are going on and off. That's your awning light, so that's a light for outside just underneath the awning. That is your water pump, so that switches the pump on, which I showed you at the back of the motorhome. When you first put the water in it, you need to pump the water through from the tank, otherwise you've just got fresh air in your pipes. So you need to switch that pump on, then open up your tap and wait until you get a pure flow of water coming out your tap. It'll be spluttering away, and then as soon as you get a pure flow of water, you know that you've pushed all the air out of the pipes, and the water that you've put into your tank has come through all that pipe work and is coming out of your tap. You'll need to do the same in the bathroom as well. So that's your water pump. Don't leave the pump running if there's no water in it, because the water that goes through the pump cools it. Okay, the next one along, we've got battery on the cab. So you can see it's a picture of a truck, so that's your cab battery. Battery on the, so that's 100% battery on the cab. You press this, you've got 59% on your leisure battery, but that's going to show that because we've got all the lights switched on. So they're your two batteries. You've got engine battery, voltage and percentage, leisure battery, voltage and percentage if you press it twice. This shows you how many amps you're drawing. So we're in a minus situation, so we're drawing 6 amps. It just shows you what charge is going across your battery. Fresh water and wastewater. So they're in percentages, that's what the water levels are showing, and you've just got a temperature readout there as well. This model's got air conditioning and it's got a remote for that. Dead straightforward, the controls are on here. There is an instruction manual for that, but it couldn't be simpler than that. But you do need to be plugged into mains for that to work. So the controls for that are done via this remote control, which is just in the drawer here. So moving along, this is the cupboard just next to the door here. This is the television aerial. To get that up and tune it in, if you want to get a better signal, you just unscrew that and you can push that up through the roof, twizzle it around, and that will allow you to tune it in and get a better signal. Next to that, you've got the fridge. To switch this fridge on, it's that button there. So this is what they call a three-way fridge. This will allow you to run it on gas, electric, or 12 volts. So to scroll through those, to scroll through the controls for this, the first one, picture of a plug socket. So that's mains. That'll run the fridge efficiently on 240 volt. So you've got to have, you've got to be plugged into mains for that to work. Next one along is 12 volt. That will only run when the engine is running. It comes off the alternator. So it'll only keep it cold. It's not very efficient. It's just for while you're travelling. It'll keep it cold as you're travelling. Next one along is gas. Obviously you've got to have a gas bottle switched on. Final one is automatic. You can actually select that and it'll automatically select the most relevant power source to save you having to manually switch this over. So you can see it's trying to find gas. If it can't find gas, sorry, it'll look for electric first. If it can't find electric, it'll try and find gas, and then it'll try and find a power supply from the engine. In all cases, it won't work because there's none of those things actually powered up at the moment. What you can also do as well is adjust the temperature. So if it's a really hot day, then you want the fridge to work harder. You'd have it at the highest setting. If it's a really cold day and it's freezing outside, just have it on the lowest setting. Otherwise, all this will freeze up. The fridge is working too hard, and it'll freeze everything that's in the fridge. So this is a fridge freezer. You've got your freezer at the top, and then your fridge at the bottom. So moving along, then we have the washroom. Obviously, this door closes to compartment off the shower room and toilet. This is the toilet itself. So on this, sorry guys, right, so on this, the toilet cassette that we showed you outside is housed underneath this cassette here. So you can see that toilet cassette that I showed you where you empty those toilet waste is in here. So you pull this lever here, that opens and closes that same blade that I showed you how to open and close on the cassette itself. Now on this model, when you open that, I think it automatically flushes. I think it may need a new fuse or some attention on this system, but obviously this hasn't been through its pre-delivery inspection yet, so it will be operational. But at the moment I can't get this up and running, so this has to still go through its pre-delivery inspection. So on the day of collection I'll run through that with you, but it is explained in the instruction manual. But at the moment I think we just need some attention to this system, so we will get that up and running, but at the moment it's not responding. So yeah, that's something we'll sort, and it'll be done for you by the day of collection. So moving on around the motorhome then, we've got a television point here, the bed, so we've got wardrobe either side of the bed. You can control the stereo system from this gauge here. It allows you to control the volume. These are individual lights here, so you just press, the touch sensitive, so you just press on that button. So they're underneath the overhead locker there. The bed, the reclining mechanism for the bed here is this switch just on the side here. So you can see that just rising slowly, so that's electric. So that's the recliner for the bed. In the right hand side wardrobe, the header tank for the boiler system, that's where it's housed. You don't really need to do anything with that, but it'll allow you to check the level. Can you see that square cut out there? That's showing you the level of the coolant that runs through the heating system, but that's just the header tank for that. So when we were outside the motorhome, I explained the importance of draining down the water from the freshwater tank. Now that's done by lifting up this mattress and the cage that's underneath it, and then underneath here is this inspection hatch just there. Just hold the bed up while I do it. Yeah, so this hatch here is where the drain for the, so this is your freshwater tank. This tap here drains down the water out of that freshwater tank. So to close it, you're going clockwise, and as indicated on here, you've got 140 litres of capacity. It's possible to drain it down to 20 litres, so that you know you've got, if you're travelling, you've got a little bit of water, but you're not carrying excessive weight. So when it's fully closed, it's clockwise, turned fully clockwise. Don't force it either way, because it's just a rod that goes down to the tap. And then if you turn it slightly anti-clockwise, you'll feel a little notch, and that will allow you then to drain it down to 20 litres. And if you turn it past that notch fully anti-clockwise, then that completely drains all the water out of the tank down to 0. But that's explained on this little diagram here. So that's how you drain down the freshwater tank. Moving on around then, we've got the shower door. There is a safety catch there. While you're travelling, just make sure that's on. If this clear plastic door is allowed to slam shut, it will crack it. So it's just a single lever mixer tap in the shower. There is a seat there if you want to bring that down, and you've got a protective board in the bottom. The good thing with this is you've got 2 drain holes. If you're not quite on a straight pitch and it leans one way, it'll make sure that you can drain down the shower. So you've got oven and grill, this way for your oven, this way for your grill, and then the igniter on here. I don't think the hob has an igniter, so you were, oh sorry, it does, yeah. So you've got your igniter there, and then 3 rings pointing to which burner you want to use. So that concludes the instructional video. Just need to clarify the operation on the toilet, get that flushing properly, and just locate the drain down for the wastewater, which I think is an electric drain down valve, but I just need to locate the switch. But the guys, when they do the pre-delivery inspection, they'll be running through all this, making sure everything's operational, and I'll just pick their brains once they've done that, and on the day of collection I can point out where that switch is for you and run through the operation on the toilet flush. Hope that helps you understand the operation of this motorhome, and I look forward to seeing you when you're here collecting your new motorhome.